Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Maths Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. I'm going to talk about how do we multiply two matrices. So I'm going to break this into 2 or 3 parts, okay? So for this video, I'm going to just write the rules and just introduce it and how to do it. While in the next video, I'm going to pick some examples and solve for it. Is that okay? So before I proceed, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you've not clicked on the notification button, I don't know what you're waiting for. So you can click on it so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first person to know. All right, let's get cracking now. So we can multiply two matrices and it's going to give us a product of AB. So that means matrix A multiplied by matrix B is going to give us matrix AB. But there are some rules that you need to know. So when two matrices are being multiplied together, the number of columns of the first matrix must be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. So I've talked about the order of metrics in the previous video, so it's important that you watch that and try to understand this as well. So because of students do take notes based on what I say during this video, so I'm going to write what I say so that you can also go back and refer to it before your exam or your test, regardless. So what I said is that we can multiply. Okay, we can multiply two metrics. So let's say matrix A and B. Okay, matrix A and matrix B. Okay, you can multiply matrix A and matrix B. All right, so I said you can multiply matrix A and matrix B, and when you multiply matrix A and matrix B, it will give you the matrix AB. Does that make sense? So you're going to form the product. You're going to form the product AB. So you have matrix A multiplied by matrix B will give you AB. So that means you have two metrics and it's going to give you a product. Now, before you multiply two metrics, there's a rule that you must know. What happens is that the number of columns of matrix A, so the number of columns must be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix, okay? So the number of columns of the first matrix must be equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. So what I'm trying to say is that if we have matrix A, now the order of matrix A is like a P by Q, then you're going to multiply now by another metric so that the order of the metric is that the first row must be the same thing as the column. So it's going to be something like Q multiplied by maybe R. So you see it? So you can see that the number of rows of the first matrix is equal to the number of what? The number of column of the first matrix is equal to the number of rows of the second matrix. And now this is going to give us a product of what? P by R matrix. Okay? So what I'm saying is that when we have something like this, and we're meant to solve this, okay? So let's say we have, I have a 2 by 3 matrix, okay? A 2 by 3 matrix, and I'm multiplying it by a what? 3 by 2 matrix. So now you see the number of columns here is equal to the number of what? Rows. Then the final answer I'm going to get is going to be a 2 by 2 what? Matrix. Are you seeing it? It's going to give me a 2 by 2 matrix. The same way that this gave us a P by R matrix. But if you're having, like, for instance, I'm having a 2 by 3, and I want to multiply it by 2 by 3. Now, if you look at this, this is not possible. Why? Why do you think it's not possible? Because the number of columns here is not the same thing as the number of rows. So that means you can't multiply what? These two metrics together. Okay? So that means we can now add to this and say that if we have the number of columns equal to the number of rows, okay, what happens then is that the resultant matrix, okay, or the resultant product, okay, is the row of the first matrix and the column of the second matrix. So same thing, like I just said. So if you have A, the matrix was a P by Q, right? And I'm multiplying the second matrix B, and it's a Q by R matrix. It's going to give me what? C, which is because now we know that Q are the same. So the final matrix is going to be a what? A P by what? R matrix. All right. So now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to write down the rules for this matrix. So I'm going to write down the rules on how do you go about and get this matrix. So that's what I'm going to do now. So let's get cracking now. So what are the 5 rules for multiplication of matrices? So I'm going to write it down. So the 5 rules for multiplication of 2 matrices. Okay. So the 5 rules for multiplication of 2 matrices. So now the first thing, all right? Now, the number of columns in the first matrix is equal to the number of rows in the second one. I've said that earlier. So the number of columns in the first matrix okay, is equal to the number of rows in the second matrix. Okay, so if you have, so we have A multiplied by B, right? So for this to work, so we, like I said, P and Q, and this is going to be Q and R. So you can see the number of columns here is equal to the number of what? The rows. Now, the second thing as well is what I always tell students, remember the rule 7. So I always tell students, so it's a good way to remember. So remember the rule. So like you're writing 7 like this. It's very important, okay? Or some people can write it like this if you want to use this method. So always remember the 7. Now, what this means is that you're like, oh, Mr. Terry, what does this mean? It's very easy. It's not that difficult. So what I'm just trying to tell you with this rule is that each element in the first row of the matrix must multiply the corresponding element in the column in the second matrix. Okay? So for instance, so let me just write what I just said. So I said each element, okay, in the first row of the first matrix will multiply the corresponding element in the column of the second matrix. Okay, so let's go back again. So let's assume we have A. Let's say A is 2 by 2. So let's assume that A is A11, A12, A21, and A22. So I've talked about this in my previous video, the order of matrices and how to multiply, how to write them. And we are having B, okay? And we have B is equal to we have B is going to be, let's assume it's a 2 by 2, B11, B12, B21, and B22. All right. So you can see this A is a 2 by 2 matrix. And also the B is a 2 by 2 matrix. So you can see the number of rows, columns in the first one is equal to the number of rows in the second one. So that means we can multiply this. All right. Now, what I'm saying is that when you're multiplying, all right, what you need to do is that each element in the first row is going to multiply corresponding elements in the column of the second matrix. So remember, I gave you, I said it's going to be 7, right? So that means each of these is going to multiply each and every one of it. So for instance, you have this one. Are you seeing it? It's going to all go and multiply this one here. So you see it's like a 7. Are you seeing it? So A111, 12 is going to multiply B11, B21. Are you seeing it? Then, when you're done with that, the next thing that will happen as well, then you're going to have, you're going to become A11 multiplied by what? B11. Can you see? So A11 multiplied by B11 plus, we're going to have A12 multiplied by what? B21. So we have A12 multiplied by what? B21. Is that making sense? So you're going to have this one going to multiply this. So that is the thing you need to keep in mind. So you have the columns, all right? The first row of the first matrix is going to multiply the what? The column of the what? Second what? Matrix. Now, step 3. Let me take this up a bit. All right, so let's go to step 3 now. So number 3, okay? The products are then added. So you can see from this point here, all right? From this point, we already have the product here, A11 times B1. Don't worry, I'm going to explain. I'm going to give you an example. So just be patient with me and follow me, all right? So now the next step is that the products are then being added. So these products you have here. So the products are added, okay? And the resultant will be the element with the common matrix notation. Okay? So it's with the common matrix notation of the multiplied row and column. Okay? So now let's go back to what we multiplied there. So we multiplied A11 multiplied by B11 plus A12 multiplied by what? B21. So now what is the common matrix notation there? Is what? 1, 1. Are you seeing it? So the common matrix notation is going to be what? It's going to be the value for 1, 1. All right. So now, but before I quickly talk about that, let me just make a note here. All right. So remember we said that the A times B is going to be PQR. So it's going to give us, let's assume, it's going to give us a product what? C. And the C, we said, is going to be what? P and R. So the notation is going to be P and R, right? We've talked about this earlier. So now, so if we just cycle back, okay, to this one we had here. So that means we already agreed the common notation is 1, 1. Okay, that's already sorted. Now let's assume we have this one. We know that A is a 2 by 2 and B is a 2 by 2 in this example we're using, for example. So we know A is a what? A 2 by 2 multiplied by what? B, which is also a what? A 2 by 2. Is going to give us what? C. In this case, we're going to be also a 2 by what? A 2 by 2. All right? So that means C now, we can write C now as same notation, C11, C12, C21, and C22. Are you seeing it? So now what we are saying now is that because this is a common notation here, the final answer you're going to have is going to be in the C11 region. So therefore, the answer you're going to get when you multiply this and add it, you're going to write the answer here in the C11 what? Region. All right? So you write it there in the C11 region. All right, so now go to step 4. So now what we've got in the first element, the next thing you just have to do is that you then have to what? Repeat. So number 4, all right? We then repeat step 1 and 2. So step 2 and 3, the multiplication. For the second column. So repeat it for the second column of the matrix. Okay. Until all the column okay, until all the column of the second matrix is exhausted. Okay, so now let's go back now. So we agreed that we had A, okay? A was, we had it as A11, A12, A21, A22, all right? And we had B. So this is a 2 by 2 matrix. And it's multiplying by B, which is also a 2 by 2, right? And it's going to give us B is going to be for B now. is going to be B11, B12, we have B21, and we have B22, right? And this is going to give us, so when you multiply both of them, it's going to give us C, all right? C, which we already agreed that C is a what? A 2 by 2 matrix as well. Okay, this will give us 2, which is a 2 by 2 matrix, C11, C12, C21, and C22. All right. Now, we've already agreed about that. So now what I'm trying to say is that we're going to repeat what we said earlier. So let's go with the first one. So I told you in the first one that you're going to remember 7. So we're going to have A11, A12, right? We're going to have A21, and we have A22, all right? It's multiplying B11. Explain this a bit. B12, B21, and B22, right? And now it's going to give us also another 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, so what I'm saying is you have to then repeat. So we said, remember 7. So you go this way and this way. So it's going to be the row column. So this one, right, is going to multiply this one. We've talked about it in the previous step. So we're going to have A11 multiply by B11 plus A12 multiply by what? B21. Okay? So I told you that when you multiply this, okay, you're going to put it in the answer that has the common one. So you see in this one, the common one here is 1, 1. So that means the final answer you get is going to be C11, and that's what you're going to write it here. Good. Now, when I say repeat, you're going to keep doing the same thing. So I'm going to have this one. So we have this one. We're going to repeat the same thing, but this time, instead of us doing it with the first one, we're not going to do it with the second one now. So it's basically like opening the bracket. So the first time we open the bracket with this, now we're going to repeat the same thing with the next one. So it's going to become, we're going to have A11 multiplied by B12 plus, we're going to have A11 multiplied B12 and A12, okay, multiplied by B22. Now, when you press this in your calculator, the answer you get, okay, which is going to be in the common one. What common one do we have here? We have the common ones here is 1, 2. So the final answer is going to be C12. So that means the answer you get, you're going to write it here in C12. So the first one we did, we opened the bracket with this one. Okay. Now, when we're done, we went to the next one and we did this. Now, the next thing to do is that you have to then repeat the same thing. So the next thing you do, you repeat the same thing. So you're going to repeat the same thing with the second row. Is this making sense? So you're going to open the bracket again. You go with the first one. So it's going to become number 3 now. It's going to be A21 multiplied by what? B11 plus A22 multiplied by what? B21. Then what is the common one between both of them? The common one is what? 2, 1. Are you seeing it? So the answer, you're going to write it in C, 2, 1. Good. Number 4. Then you're going to do the next thing. You're going to repeat the same thing with this one here. So we're going to have A21 multiplied by what? B12 plus A22 multiplied by what? B22. Then the final answer, what is common between all this, you have it is 22. Then you write the answer. The answer you have is going to be C22, and you're going to put it what? Here. So basically, because this one was meant to be for this, what I did was meant to be for step 4 and 5. So I just combined for step 4, okay? The step 4 was for the second column, all right? So it's the red one. So I'm going to write for step 5. So this is step 5. I'm going to write it down. So I just combine both of them here. So this part here is the step 5. We're now repeating it for the second row with the column. So for number 5, okay, I've done that already. So step 2 and step 4. Okay, are repeated. So we've done that already. I repeated with the second row. Of the first column of the first matrix. Okay, until all the columns of the second matrix are exhausted. Okay, so basically the way we got the C21 and C22. So basically what I'm trying to say. So the way we got the C21 and C22 is how you do it, okay? So so that is the 5 rules, okay? So with this now we can now see that we can now get the resultant metrics, okay? So we can now say after you're done with the 5 steps, okay? Therefore, you now notice that the resultant metrics now um, so therefore, okay? So therefore, the resultant product will be a matrix with the same number of rows as the first matrix. The same number of rows are the first matrix, and the same number of columns as the second matrix. Okay. So we have A, for example, what I just said, A multiplied by B, if A is a what? P by R, or let's say P by Q, okay? And B is a Q by R. So the final matrix here, C, is going to be a what? P by what? R matrix. Okay. So let me give let me give an example. So if, for instance, we have a 4 by 3 matrix. Okay. So let's assume we have a 4 by 3 matrix multiplying 3 by 7 matrix. Okay. The final matrix we're going to get is going to be a what? A 4 by 7. Are you seeing it? It's going to be a 4 by 7 matrix. So if you looked at this example I showed you, the one we did, I used to explain step 4 and 5, you can see step 4 and 5 here, we have, it's a 2 by 2 matrix multiplying a what? 2 by 2 matrix, and I'll give you this 2, we multiply this 2, I have to give you 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna solve some examples in the next video. Is that right? So we'll solve some examples in the next video. So I'm gonna solve examples on how do we multiply metrics. But basically, before you go to that video, I want you to ensure that you've looked at the steps again, write it in your notebook. It's going to make more sense to you. All right. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.